Recording in progress. God, my head is so shiny. This is going on in interwebs for millions to see for years and years and years and years. All right. I'm going to start this off the way I always like to start off. I want to go over what we're going to talk about, tell you what we're talking about, then I'm going to talk about it. I always like to start off with a little bit, if anybody in here has been with me, has seen any presentation I've done, I like to give a little credibility to myself because I'm the type of person, before I listen to anybody speak, I want to know why I should listen to them. And I think that that is a trait that in our business, that is very important. Why? Because why should you listen to the gatekeeper about an appointment when you want to make an appointment with a DM, right? Why should you listen to that person? So today we're going to talk about enrollment trading ish. We're going to talk about setting up an enrollment. We're going to talk about why you talk about life insurance first, when to add health policies, and then at the end Q&A. Frenchie, let me know when it's 150.
Yes, sir.
Exactly. So I'm gonna start off with a little story. As everybody here knows my story, I come from Dillard's, and something about the niece of the manager rightfully got this position over me because I didn't work hard enough, right? So that right there taught me I needed to work hard enough. I got a few in here going, what is he talking about? That's Tony's story of before he come here, he worked at Dillard's and whatever, what have you. But somebody here recently, and I'll quote it word for word, asked me, Tommy, what's your numbers? And that sort of stuck in my head because I'm a numbers guy. And first off, I liked it because I like, you have to have a little bit of edge in what we do. You got to have a little bit of testicular fortitude, if you will. Doesn't matter if it's in here, doesn't matter if it's out there, doesn't matter if it's at home, whatever. Be clear and concise in what you want. A lot of ways to being clear and concise is numbers. Okay. And that person that's asked me that here recently probably knows exactly who they are. So thank you for asking me that. One of the reasons why I was asked about how to set up an enrollment. I've been with the company 12 years. Okay. Somebody get their phone handy. Calculator right there, Mark. I've averaged 2.5 enrollments a week, easily 2.5. And I think I'm shooting low on that because my personal record of enrolling has been 99 days in a row. Okay, I literally enrolled 99 days in a row. I've had weeks where I've had 7, 8 enrollments. How do you do that? You enroll one in the morning, you take your lunch to drive to your next one, and you go to your next one, and then you enroll that place. So I've had 7 or 8 enrollments in a week. So, but I've also had, there's been weeks in my career, as anybody that has longevity in any career, where I've had 0 enrollments in a week. Okay, my fault, but they were there. So 2.5 enrollments times 50 weeks. Everybody's entitled to 2 weeks off a year, right? Is what? 125 times 12? 1,500. So I've done it on the short side of it, 1,500 enrollments. Okay, that's close to being more than everybody here put together. So that's one of the reasons why I was asked about the enrollments, because I've done a lot of it. I've done a lot of it successfully. But on the flip side of success is what? What is it?
I didn't want to say
failure. So I've failed a lot. Anybody who has a lot of success has a lot of what? Okay. So I've tuned, I've tweaked, I've had outstanding, I've had terrible. So what I've learned over the years for myself, and I'll admit I'm a little archaic in my ways, just because I come from a different cloth way before the system that's here now. That being said, when this system did come about 5 years ago, I was the one that was taught the system in order for this office to open, and I'm very much in favor of it because it is hands down the best system I've seen in our 12 years. Not only that, I feel it's getting better every day. Yes, there's bugs. Yes, there's glitches. Yes, there's this. Yes, there's that. But it used to be, Brandon, see that room in there? That's where you're enrolling today. Go enroll. And that's it. So reason why I'm saying that is because your powers to be, your Dianas, your Terrys, your Craigs, they've failed a lot in order to teach you your successes. So when they're saying something, when they're giving you advice on something, you might want to listen because they may have failed at it 5 times before you will succeed at it. Does that make sense? Yeah. I've averaged $150,000 a year. You still got your $150,000 in written business. Okay. As when I was a director, and I've been a director twice, I wrote over $250,000 a year. Okay. So on an average, because I've had a couple of years where I wrote right at 100,000 in a year. So $150,000 a year in written business times 12 is. So I've wrote over $1 million in business. So if you have a question, write it down. I will answer it the best I can. Okay, but make the best use of this time that you possibly can. Not only when I teach this, but when that girl back there, Diana, who absolutely has one of the best work ethics I've ever seen, and I don't give compliments like that, or Terry, who's one of the most organized people I've ever met, and Craig, one of the most personable people, teaches you, listen to what they're saying. Okay? So, that being said, we're going to talk about setting up an enrollment now. All right? Setting up the enrollment. We are there. We are at ABC Business. We're at XYZ Company. First things first. Before you get there, be prepared. Be prepared. Mallory, what is being prepared? If you and Diana, no, you, never mind Diana, you yourself are going to an enrollment. What are you prepared with?
Your computer, the packets, all of the paperwork,
What's the paperwork? What do you do with your computer?
You need it ready, synchronized.
Is that completely ready?
Oh, you have to.
Plug up your computer the night before. Make sure it's fully charged. Nothing's more demoralizing than getting to an enrollment and having a dead computer, and the only outlet you have is over there and you're sitting here. Guess what you just did? You made no money that day. Whose fault is that? Your own. Okay. Have your computer charged. I know that write that down, people. Like, I know it's that simple, but it's a big deal. Have your computer charged. If it wasn't a big deal, and if I didn't see this, remember, I was a director. I've had over 100 agents. If it was that simple, I wouldn't make that the first point of what I'm saying about enrollment training. Does that make sense? Make sure your computer's charged. Make sure your e-app is updated. what is the number one piece of paper that you is for open enrollment and re-enrollment that you must have? Employee list is what you're thinking. That's number 2. No. What do you always take with you, Steve, to an open enrollment? The worksite management report. The worksite management report. If you're going to ABC company, have your worksite management report there for a couple reasons. One, it's a list of existing policyholders, which is also a list of what, Mark? People that buy. You already have a list of people that are there that are already considering or have considered purchasing from you. You got to consider what we do in our profession, whether it's walking in off of a those things that log in. Walk-ins. Whether it's walking and talking to a DM, sitting down for an appointment. If you're at an enrollment, you got to consider yourself a bricklayer, except you're a reverse bricklayer. What does that mean, Frenchie? What does a bricklayer do? He builds. Okay. What if you were a reverse bricklayer, you would. So you have to consider that there is a wall already built in front of you, right? And it is your job as a reverse bricklayer to take it down brick by brick by brick. And keep in mind, any 2 words or 2 seconds you're away from building that wall completely back up. And one of the ways at an enrollment to build that wall completely back up, not be prepared, not have your worksite management report, not have your computer plugged in. Okay. Make sure you have your worksite management report. Make sure you have the employee list, roster, whatever the hell it's called now. 1, because you should be sending that in with every enrollment. 2, because it is a organizational tool at the enrollment. I'm sorry, what's your name? Hey, who's the 3rd person you talked to? That's right. Yeah. You have no clue. Exactly. That's what an employee list is for. Because when I sit down and I talk with Jazz, I'm fully engulfed in this conversation. I seriously do care about his dog. I seriously do care about his 4 adopted children that he has. Okay. I seriously do care about his mom that he still lives with. I want to make sure she's all right. She's still doing okay? All right. Tell her today. I'm so fully engulfed in that conversation, I don't remember the 3rd person I talked to though. And guess who's going to ask you who you've talked to? The business owner, right? His time is money, especially in the blue collar field of service industries, which is our bread and butter, right? This next point, and I'm going to actually jump forward 1 and then come back. When you go to your enrollment, you got all that stuff set up. Set up your work area properly. That sounds so like duh, but people don't get this. I'm very big on the psychology of everything. Okay. where you set the chairs up, where you don't set the chairs up, where you lay your paperwork at, where you put your computer. Are you across from them interrogating them, or are you next to them talking with them? Interrogation, conversation. Literally. Look how simple that is. And another big key, another big point. Jazz, step up, jump up for a second, please. Brandon's enrolling. This is the stuff. Jazz comes in the doorway. You can stand right there. You don't. I just want you to jump up. And these two chairs are right there. And I want Jazz to sit here. I'll bet you a shiny new nickel he sits here. And then you got to sort of break the flow, or he gets comfortable, takes control of the situation, kicks back. So what you peddling here, kid? Right? Set up your work area properly. Take away that if you're in a conference room that's got a table and then chairs, take the two chairs away and put them at the other end of the table. And dictate where you want them to place. Go ahead. Thank you. You're a reverse bricklayer, right? That's another way of putting that wall back up, because you just gave him the ability to sit wherever he wants, however he wants to sit it, not close to you. It doesn't matter which side I put people on, because I've done it long enough. I can do left or right. I prefer them on my left, because when I circle on papers, I'm not going like this over their view, but do it where it's comfortable. If there is, an outlet, of course, because I know my computer has 4 hours of battery time. So I know by lunch, I got to plug it up at lunch somewhere there or whatever, what have you, but just in case, make sure that if you can, dictate somewhere that it's close to an outlet. Don't be afraid to control where they put you either. And what I mean by that, if I walk into this office and if there's a quiet office back there, or they want me to sit out here, don't be afraid to say, hey, if you don't mind, can we go look and see if anybody's in this office, if anybody's using it? Because you're being a professional. Be a professional, right? We're professionals of what we do. Very proud of what we do. So give the person that you're talking to kind of that privacy. If it's a guy-oriented business, that's real simple. You could just sort of shrug it off. Hey, he doesn't want anybody to know about his STD. So if you don't mind, if we can go back there and in there, just make a joke of it. Just whatever. But also, don't be afraid to say, hey, we do need some privacy. Do you mind if we go back there in that office? Okay. Control the situation. Control the situation. And I don't mean by, no, this is what we're going to do, Mallory. This is how we're going to do it. But remember, I've done how many enrollments? A lot, over 1,500. I'm not afraid to say, hey, you know what I've seen that has worked the best for us, Mallory, is if we have a place over here, that does have a door, because you don't want to talk a little loud. Give your professional opinion. Be a professional. Set up your work area. Have it prepared and ready. Have your stuff out that you're going to talk about. And after you get done with somebody, immediately, don't check the text, don't check the emails. Diana can wait. Okay. Get ready for your next person to come. And then whatever time you have left, you can see what Craig's bothering you about. Because it's always about numbers, right? That's all he cares about is numbers. So Derek Feldman, ladies and gentlemen, thank you. Now, this point, I feel on an enrollment only helps your enrollment, but I feel that it will absolutely make or break your enrollment. And if you don't do this step, you're shooting yourself in the foot from the beginning. The number one most important thing at an enrollment, what would you say, Diana? Yeah, that's kind of a prep issue.
Walking around introducing yourself to whoever.
Okay. That's almost to where I'm saying, what would you say, Craig? For a successful enrollment. No, computer's already set up. Thanks, Dee. You must have a cheerleader. You must have a cheerleader. It doesn't have to be a DM. That can, and I tell you, the best ones I think is that, what's the thing as soon as you walk in? Yeah, is the gatekeeper. Especially, yeah, the walk-in. I'll have to learn that stuff a little bit.
Someone that's gonna follow up, make sure.
Because the gatekeeper is the one typically that talks to everybody. The business owner doesn't.
Right.
The floor manager doesn't. Gatekeeper does. And she, primarily she's, okay, a lot of times likes to know the business of everybody. Not, and I don't mean like being Sally know-it-all. What I mean is she's a more vocal person a lot of times than everybody else. Okay, so you know what a gatekeeper is, right? As soon as you walk in, talk to them. Yes. Typically the lady up front, and it's a guy sometimes too, but it is typically females. She just knows a little bit about everybody there a lot of times. In my experience, that's not being judgmental, that's just my experience. So going back to prospecting, and just to hit on this, something I always taught, when you're being judged from the moment you pull in the parking lot. The only unhealthy thing I do is smoke, and I don't smoke a lot. I absolutely will not smoke outside of business. I absolutely will not litter outside of business, and I absolutely will not park in the parking spot right in front of the door. Because you're being judged from the moment you pull in that parking lot. A lot of times by who? Gatekeeper. Get on her good side from the moment you meet them. And you do, you're going to have a much better enrollment because you'll make a point of it. A cheerleader doesn't have to be the gatekeeper. A cheerleader, I've had cheerleaders be the business owners. I've had cheerleaders be the floor managers. I've had cheerleaders be the grandchild that the owner was sitting that day. It doesn't matter who the cheerleader is. Ensure the cheerleader right away though, because they will make sure that your enrollment goes way better. You will see more people. There's nothing that sucks more than sitting at an enrollment, especially outside in a garage, waiting on people 45 minutes to an hour apart. Those will happen. Those will happen. But you can dictate how often they happen, or that they happen less. Does that make sense? So who's the cheerleader around? Gatekeeper. Can be anybody. A lot of times it's the gatekeeper though. Okay. I'm Tommy about that.
I am Tracy.
Hey, Tracy. Hi, I'm Tommy. And that seriously, having a cheerleader will take your enrollment from barely breaking bonus to a $5,000 enrollment, especially on a weekly pay. Okay. Plus, you want to get in, get out, and get done. you like those businesses, but it's much cooler to be out there doing whatever it is you need to do. Yes, sir.
I need to check one thing.
Mhm.
Some businesses, you may be able to do like a sign up sheet where everyone signs up for a walk of time. That way you already know when everyone's gonna come in and sit down. Again, it depends on the business, but you still need a cheerleader to make sure those people are coming in. Supposed to.
In that instance, the list is the cheerleader. It doesn't matter what the cheerleader is.
You
Mhm.
know, like schools, for instance, we get
Mhm.
a sign up sheet at a time. So you're not sitting there for an hour at a time waiting for someone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, good. That's an excellent point, because the cheerleader doesn't have to be a person.
And they're also a lot more likely people who say, no, I'm not interested in anything.
Uh-huh.
They're gonna-
No, you gotta just go see him real quick. Hey, Lucy, tell Steve that I'm a good dude. You know, I know he doesn't like talking to a salesman, but you know, I'm harmless, and they'll talk them through that a lot of times too.
Can I interject?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, something that, I mean, this is probably a given, but, being prompt is also something.
Oh,
to do.
yeah.
Whether it's probably 15 minutes prior to your appointment. Also being organized, all the information that you have told us to have it organized. You don't wanna walk in there, getting out of your car with papers, stuff hanging all out, looking all unorganized. If you get there late, you're gonna probably mess up and they're gonna say, hey, I don't have time to talk to you today. So you might even miss your whole entire, presentation. or
Absolutely.
sale or whatever. So, just in previous, employment, that has always been one of the first major things that I know that you have to do as an agent.
Absolutely.
And you said your presentation, when you drive up in it could be a beat up car, but let it be a dirty old, let it be a clean beat up car. They're watching you, like you said, and you want to present professionalism. They want to know that they have, feel confident that they're placing their with their purchase of benefits with someone that is going to take care of them.
Yeah, be a professional. That's an excellent point, which actually brings me to my next point of when you're at an enrollment and you're setting up. Next thing I was actually going to hit on was organization of your enrollment area. Okay. I sit down to enroll. And this is all the stuff that I have, because we're talking about the live policy. We got everything, right? We got the booklet, we got the group term flyer, we got everything out there. And I sit here and I talk about, so this is the no cost accidental death policy and the discount card. This is on behalf of your owner, Tony. It's $3,000 coverage for you, $3,000 coverage for your spouse, $1,000 for the tenant. When I have a work area that has all the stuff laid out like this, where's his eyes looking? Right here, right? Right here. Once again, psychology of selling. Who here has eaten at a restaurant? Who here has looked at a menu? Have you ever noticed, because food is kind of my thing, in case you haven't noticed. You ever notice at a restaurant, when you look at a menu, that there a lot of times what you order is right in the middle of the menu? Didn't know that, did you? That's the highlighted stuff. That is their featured items. The human body has eye fatigue after about 48 seconds. That's why they put stuff in the middle of the menu really bold. So that when you look everything over, especially at a Mexican restaurant, how many things do they have on a Mexican restaurant, Mexican menu? 50? And then you wind up going to what? The first or second thing you look at, which is probably right there in the middle and bold. It's so that when your eyes are tired, they can go back to what you were originally looking at. don't create eye fatigue for the people that you're talking to. This is what I want him to look at. Okay? This is the only thing in front of him. Keep it nice and clear. It's just a business. It was just a prop. We'll say this is a group term trifold. Okay. This is the only thing I want his eyes on. Okay. And that's very important because if I'm talking about this and he's looking over here, what is he not doing? He's not paying attention to me. Okay. And especially when you're talking about the life policy. So you talk about something, put it back in the folder or whatever it is, get it completely out of the area. And have him concentrate, have her concentrate fully on what you want them to concentrate on. Does that make sense? Does anybody have any questions on that? What I mean? Okay. I have no idea where your stuff is. And be on time. Do what?
It's my stuff.
Oh, what? Leave it there. As it was. Yeah, and be on time. Be organized. You have 6 papers out and you have your stuff down here and stuff in a chair and stuff down there. I'm too precise of a person. When I walk into an area like that, I kind of I was doing a independent living. This gentleman had certifiable OCD. I walked into his office and everything was laid out perfect and I felt at home. I was like, oh my gosh, I love this office because it was all exactly where it needed to be. Everything went tallest to shortest and all the papers were all nice and neat. He had my folder out with all exactly how I would lay it out. I was like, me and him are kindred, him and I are kindred spirits. So that's a little bit about the work area, the psychology of the enrollment, setting it up, why it's important, have everything there. Next thing we're going to talk about, and enrollment. Talk about life insurance first. A few of you in here were in a training I did a few weeks ago, right down there, and I think I hit briefly on life insurance. What's the name of our company? Globe Life Insurance Company? Life Insurance Company, right? Not Globe Health Insurance Company, Globe Life. Okay. Talk about the life insurance policy first. Why? That's the second reason. I know, what's the statistics of people using a life insurance policy? 100%. Why? Everybody dies. Everybody dies. I didn't know until I started doing this business that 70% of everybody I talk to would have no life insurance.
I didn't know that was a number.
Huh?
I didn't know that either. You said that.
70%. 70%. That's pretty startling, actually. And it hits home too, because I've done it. I did an enrollment, not an enrollment. I did an appointment. The guy said nobody here has a need for that. A month later, I'm at the gas station and there's a thing on the counter for donations for one of the employees who passed away. You know, and I'm thinking, yeah, nobody has a need for this. And it took everything I had to go back to that business owner and say, hey, if you would have let me in a month ago, because he was a 32-year-old healthy person that died in a car accident. So everybody's going to die. Talk about life insurance first. It is the most important insurance that is out there. You might use car insurance, you might use health insurance, you might use earthquake insurance, you might use shattered glass insurance, you might use phone insurance. You will use a life insurance policy, plain and simple. And 70% of the people that you talk to will not have any whatsoever. The second reason is we get paid off of it more than others. But that's a far second reason. It is the number one need, but it just so happens we get paid well off of it. So when I sit down at enrollment to talk with anybody, I go over the ADP, the accidental death policy, and the discount card first. And then I immediately followed up with the statement question of, what do you and your family have in place for life insurance? Write that down. It is a simple question that you should ask up front. What do you and your family have in place for life insurance?
Would you wanna ask them if they have any medical problems?
Not yet. Because I don't care if he's got $1 million policy. If he's got $100,000 policy. If he's had policies. I'm I'm looking for the need first.
Is that right? I know I did that mistake where I'm so into it and found out they're not qualified for it because they had something that was hard.
I don't work because I want to see the need first. I want to see if they have a policy first. Then I'll figure out that down the road, or if they have, because one thing I've promised everybody I talk to, if I don't see the need of it, because I am a professional, I will not try to get them to see the need in it. If you've got a $250,000 whole life policy that you've had since you were a child, unless you absolutely want another policy from me, then I don't see the need of the life policy. Does that make sense? Because that saves me time. If there's not a need there, then I will go into the other policies. So I will ask, what do you have in place as a life insurance benefits for you and the family now? And I'm hoping they say nothing.
That's why you're.
Ah, nice. Yay. Which is where I follow up with, that's why I'm here. Okay, so we're just going to assume they said no. All right, we're just going to assume that's why I'm here. My favorite statement for everything. It literally can fit in any box. Just, you haven't heard me say that yet. My favorite saying with any opposition whatsoever is, that's why I'm here. Well, we already have Aflac. Well, that's why I'm here. Well, I've got life insurance. Well, that's why I'm here. Yeah, I don't like insurance salesman. Well, that's why I'm here. It's cold out. That's why I'm here. Where am I? What was he talking about? That's why I'm here. So I'll go into the explanation of the group term policy. Okay, that's why I'm here. And this is why Tony asked me to come in and offer this on his behalf. Anytime you can talk on the behalf of the business owner, always do, gives you just a hair more credibility. And that hair more credibility might just get you that sale. And it doesn't take any more effort. Any more effort.
You said that's why Tony told me, right?
That's why Tony asked me to come in and offer what I do on his behalf.
Do you say, what do you?
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
Do you talk about, did you kind of like skip over the student cost benefits or is there something that's?
I don't skip over them. I talk about them and then I go into the question. Because I don't want to spend a lot of time, because you will spend 15 minutes on the ADP and the discount card if you let them spend 15 minutes. You know, I'm sure anybody that's enrolled twice has seen that already.
So you kind of go over that back a little bit faster. get there.
This is
Okay, so,
Mallory, what this is here is $3,000 of accidental death coverage for you, 3,000 for your spouse. How many kids do you have? One. What's his or her name? Charlotte, and 1,000 for Charlotte. Okay, typically $10 a year, but what it is, as long as you're here at ABC Company, you'll get this at no cost every year. Next year, you'll get a bill in the mail. I know you'll sleep a time or two between now and then. When you get that bill, throw it away, because next year when you see me again, I'll just renew it at no cost. And this discount card on vision, hearing, prescription, drugs, and chiropractic services. In the process, Mallory, let me ask you, what do you have in place as of life insurance for you and the family now? And that's exactly how I did it.
that's what I wanted to.
Do that's exactly how I do it. And what did you notice how I did that? Because I'm very big on the psychology of selling, right? And psychology of what we do. Okay. I got the name of the daughter. I know that I know the kids are involved, which also means I'm going to talk about career life, family plan, because I'm not going to talk about single. I'm not going to talk about a individual accident policy. I'm just going to quote the family policy. You know, so I got that information. Plus, I do go through that pretty quick, but when I got to the point of it, I slowed down and I emphasized it. I changed my inflection. Yes, you guys have heard me talk, and I got a lot of sarcasm and wit and things like that, but I'm very poignant in my conversations because I'm a professional, and you're actually going to hear me talk about this in a few minutes. I'm a professional in what I do. We spend a lot of time in the car, right? TED Talks are one of the greatest things that's ever been invented, because you can learn about anything that you want to learn about from the best of the best. And I have listened to thousands of hours of psychology, of conversation, being able to read body language, of sales, and professionalism. You guys see me in here as goofy, but I tell you, you see me work with my conversations. There's a reason why my conversations go the way they go 99% of the time. The other ones, like the ones with Jazz, are just always. Sorry, that one was easy. I love it.
So when they sit down with you, you go to form for, okay. Give them the 2 3 things, and then that's what you ask about.
Mhm.
Okay. I was just curious.
Yeah, and I did skip over rapport. Rapport is important. It is, but I have a technique to that I'm going to talk about at 150. Okay, rapport is important, but there's a panache to it. There's just, it's hard to explain. At 150, I'll say what I'm going to say. So I go into the group term policy. I explain the group term policy, and then I'll show, and this is why I've sort of restructured my training, because there's left field, right field here does 2 different things. They both work. Okay, because the way our team has done it is actually the way I've taught Derek and on down, and the way Amanda's their team, you guys' team, does it. Amanda has taught it on down it, and they both work. There's no one that's better than the other. So, so I'll show the rates on the life policy, and I'll let them make the decision. I'll ask them specifically, do you see a number there that you know you would feel comfortable with coming out per paycheck? And then I shut up. Do you see a rate there that you know you feel comfortable with? And then I'll shut up. Because what am I doing? Huh? It's not that I'm not taking no. I'm letting them decide. They're making the decision. You know, I'm very proud that I'm not pushy. Why am I not pushy? Because I make them make their own decisions.
You guys have the rate sheet or something.
Uh-huh. You guys write it down. They can still make their own decision. Which one of these is most comfortable for you? Same thing.
But Tommy, what are you doing right before that? You're creating the urgency, the need.
Yeah,
Can you?
I create the urgency, the need by doing what? Asking them if they have life insurance. Ask them if they have life insurance. And I'm very proud to say that I don't have a lot of, I don't know, or can I think about this? Because I do so well on the urgency, wrote it down somewhere else over there. On creating the urgency.
Can you go through that part? So I think that is transferable regardless of how we actually show the rates.
So when I sit down and I ask them, Brandon, what do you have in place as life insurance benefits? Nothing. Okay, so let me show you this group term policy. All right. What it is, it's a term policy that's good till age 100. Cost will never go up, benefit will never go down. It's not their payroll deduction. So it's conveniently taken out for you. Plus you're getting a big tax savings on the first 50,000. And the most important thing about what we do, and this is why Tony asked me to come in and offer what I do on his behalf. You leave the business for any reason, your decision as the employee or his decision as the employer, you don't lose these benefits. They go with you. And they go with you at the exact same cost, the exact same benefit. And you said you worked at Walmart for 15 years, right? 20, sorry. That was your wife. I'm sorry. That was your wife that worked there 15 years. You guys had a Walmart wedding every day. That's great. Home and garden, everything was there. You didn't have to decorate.
Yeah, thanks for the lawnmower too.
It's a weed eater.
I don't do that.
That being said, when you left there, what happened?
Oh, it went away.
It was gone, right? With what we do, that doesn't happen. Okay, so keep that in mind because you're only 32 years old right now.
Yeah.
I already showed you what it was going to be like at 55 years old, the cost of what it would be at 55 years old. Because that's something I do on my rate sheet too. Because I always show the 55-year-old rate. Okay, $50,000 policy, 55 years old. This is what the cost would be, Brandon. That's ridiculous. Now your age, 32, you get to go way up here, and it's literally 1/8, 1/10, 1/12 the cost. Oh, yeah, it is. So it's a good time now to get something that is going to be permanent that will never change. Okay. So that's how I create the urgency. Is I show the rates of an older person. Whatever age they are, and then slide it down and show them their age. And then I ask them that question. Do you see a number there that you know that you would be comfortable with coming out per paycheck? And then they make their own decision. The biggest thing that I've seen in enrolling and getting them to make a decision is being able to take it with them when they leave.
What do you say when they're after return through the business, but it's hard?
A life policy through the business.
Yeah, that they're like,
You know what, Mallory? You do have a policy here at ABC Roofing. It's only a $10,000 policy though. Do you know what happens that when you leave? Yeah, it goes away. That's why I'm here. That's exactly what I said. I keep it simple. I address it head on and then bring it back around. That's why I'm here. And let me show you why.
and if somebody already has like a very large amount already out, they'll just typically stop.
If it's through the company and I know it's something that's going to terminate, I'll bring it back around again. Same thing, I'll bring it back around. But if it's a policy, if they're 45 years old and they've had a $150,000 whole life policy, then I'm not going, yeah, because there's no need there. Then you become a pushy salesman.
Yeah.
And I'm not.
Okay.
150? All right. You go into the life insurance first, and then once you close that, and this is important, close one thing at a time. Write that down. Close one policy at a time. Do not data dump. What is that? Ron, what is data dumping?
Dump everything at once, it all gets mixed up.
Yeah, so I got this cancer endurance policy. It's awesome. It's got a hospital benefit of $250 a day first 90 days, at $600 a day after. And then I also have this ICU policy, and then I also let me tell you about this accident protector max policy. Oh my God, it's awesome, especially if you're like me that has to go to the ER every so often. Oh, you got kids though, right? Let me talk to you about our Grow Up plan. Our real life policy. What do you think? I've seen it. And guess what? I've done it a lot. Diana's done it a lot. Derek's done it a lot. You know why? Because we think we sound way cooler in our head than what we really do. Because, oh my God, I'm rocking. I know all my stuff.
You do
Listen.
know it all.
Yeah.
But then you've overloaded your person.
Yeah. You data
You're
dumped.
sitting on the other side of that table, and you're like, now I don't know what we're talking about.
Yeah. And no, would you make a decision if somebody did that to you? Don't do that to somebody else, because it's so important. Close one policy at a time. Does that make sense? And that's when you go into, once you get done with the life policy, and if they've got a life policy, that's why I made this simple down here. And if they've already got a life policy, then go into the health products. That's where through rapport, I've kind of found out if they have cancer in their life or this, that, whatever, what have you.
Great time. What's your concluding remarks and close, let's say the life policy? Okay, you got it. I'm gonna write this down and put it in.
Type it up, I'm done, and I move on to the next policy.
Okay,
So you wouldn't even talk about it anymore, just say I'm good to go with that. And move on to that.
and at that cost, we're good.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, so you want your wife as the beneficiary of that $75,000 policy, Mark? Okay, great. And then I'll go into the next policy. I'll ask the questions and then I'll go into the next policy.
And you won't revisit it.
Nope, I'm done with it.
Okay.
I will revisit that at the end when we do the they did the deduction sheet, because I want to make sure that they totally understand exactly what it is that we're doing, because it's not how much you write. Just question. Okay, you just all right. And it doesn't matter which health product you go to next. My mom's a breast cancer survivor, and I don't make claims and I don't say stuff that I truly don't feel in my heart, because I'm not smart enough to lie about stuff. You never have to remember the truth, because it's just the truth, right? I feel our cancer policy is hands down in the business, and I've researched the hell out of all kinds of cancer policies. So doesn't matter which one you go into. You got kids, accident policy is no brainer and easy, especially in Illinois, which is half the cost or whatever it is. Cancer policy on a weekly basis, 25-year-old, it's $1.99 a week. My God, ICU, same thing. And there's a big need for it right now. So any quick questions on anything that I went over? Because I do want to hit on rapport building, because there's no magic sauce to this. Got a question?
I have one question. This is a policy related question to that ICU plan. I want to see if you know it. I've been told, I'm not sure if it's 100% correct or not, but on an ICU plan, does it cover women if they are pregnant or going to give birth, if they end up in ICU? Is that covered? And then if they do give birth, their baby, and it goes to the ICU, and a family plan doesn't cover the baby.
I haven't had that happen, but it would make no sense why a family plan wouldn't cover the child, because why would you have a family plan? Because children are automatically assumed on policies as newborns. I don't feel that the ICU, like, they would be discarded from that, because I remember when COVID happened and the ICU became a really big thing, I heard conversation from somewhere about how important it was for women that were pregnant to get this policy, because they are much more likely to go into the ICU.
What, during the pregnancy, and the employee, the woman ends up in ICU due to her pregnancy, that's that covered too?
Well, yeah, that's what I meant.
So that's a great selling point on an ICU plan, especially if they're sitting with a young woman, she's married, they're planning on having kids.
And that was a woman that works for Liberty that told me that.
Yeah.
Because I remember when COVID first happened, I started calling like friends, people, Chris and other people from other offices, just seeing how are we going to get through this. And it was actually an AD out of his office that told me that. Because I would have I will never be in ICU for pregnancy. So it's something I would have never thought about. Steve. Rapport. Rapport is very important. It's got to be natural. This is me talking from my heart off the cuff here real quick. I'll hit it for 3 minutes and then I'm done. If you talk about stuff, know what you're talking about. Period. Derek made a good point earlier this week about going in and saying, oh, you've been in business for 20 years. Business owner says, yeah. Have something to actually talk about. How do you know how to talk about stuff? I learned something. I intentionally learn something every week I don't care about. I don't care about it whatsoever, never will care about it whatsoever, but I learn about it. Why? Because people care about that shit. You might need it. You get me out in the field, I can go from conversation to conversation about the pitch of a road, to pumpkin chucking, to how aluminum cans are made, to just random useless things. And I don't care how old or how young you are, learn random things you don't care about. Why? Because it makes you a professional. We're professionals in what we do. Be professional. And have that rapport, build that rapport, because you've chose to be in this field, right? Everybody here is because they've chose to be here. You've also chose to have a bunch of conversations with a bunch of different people. Do you want to have good conversation or not so good conversation? That's really up to you. How much time do we spend on the road? A lot, right? How much can you learn besides windshield training? And it's nice to get a break from that a little bit. How many podcasts are out now? Everybody here knows I'm a Rogan fan, and I'm always going to pimp Rogan. I'm always going to talk about Rogan. And it's not Rogan, it's the people he has on. But you can learn anything you want from the best of anything. Enroll in Highway U. Enroll in Highway University. Yes, it's fun to listen to music and things like that, but you never, I talk about pumpkin chucking. I closed a case in Illinois of a dude that was just a total a-hole to me that didn't want to talk to me. I started leaving and I turned around and walked back in and I said, hey, is that a pumpkin chucker out there? And he goes, what do you know about that? I said, I know there's 3 classes to pumpkin chucking. Does anybody here know what pumpkin chucking is?
You shoot a pumpkin out of a can.
There's 3 classes of pumpkin chucking. The trebuchet, the slingshot, and the air cannon. I don't care about pumpkin chucking, but I know there's 3 classes. I closed that case because I knew exactly what that was. And that's just one instance of many over the years. Love Sons of Anarchy. That was big at one time. You know, it's just, there's a lot of things going on. Just be professionals. Learn stuff you don't care about every day. Make yourself grow. Any other questions about anything that we hit highlights on that went over today? Does everybody feel that they've learned a thing or two?
You were saying something about highway U. I didn't hear us.
Enroll in Highway U, Highway University. You're going to be on the road. You're from Kansas City, right?
Yeah, Lisa.
Yeah, you drive down here? Yeah. That is exactly a Joe Rogan podcast drive. About 3 hours and 30 minutes, right? Yeah. So anything else? Any other questions? Y'all have a great Thanksgiving.